I didn't react enough to my husband asking for a divorce out of the blue and now he's mad. I, 26F, was served with divorce papers by my husband, 27M, about a month ago. I read them over and asked why. He told me he was in love with somebody else, his co-worker, and wanted to marry her. I said okay and began the process of moving out. I own a rental property that operates as an Airbnb-like vacation home and began the process of moving there. I took all my things, including things I paid for by myself, like all of our gaming consoles. I also spoke to one of my colleagues, 38M, about having him represent me. I'm a clerk at a law firm. He has agreed and we have moved forward preparing for the divorce. My husband contacted me a couple of weeks ago, angry that I had taken all of my things and moved out. He was even more angry that I didn't have any emotional response and didn't fight for him. I explained that there was no use throwing a tantrum about divorce and that I take time to process things. He dismissed me as being cold and unfeeling and said some hurtful things about me, including insulting my appearance, the way I dress, and my hobbies. I took screenshots and sent them to my colleague. We had our first hearing a few days ago and my soon-to-be ex-husband decided to represent himself. After the hearing, he flipped out on me again and demanded why I had become my colleague's client. I told him that I believed my colleague would fight for me and I trusted him. My soon-to-be ex was very upset and demanded to know why I had chosen an attractive male to represent me and asked if I was cheating on him with my attorney. I told him I wasn't sleeping with my colleague and that it was kind of insulting to accuse me of sleeping with somebody else when he was leaving me for one of his coworkers. He called me a fat W word. I'm chubby but at a healthy weight and said I was probably paying for my attorney with intimacy. I felt really upset and needed to get my feelings off of my chest. I'm glad I followed through with divorcing him, even though he seems to have somewhat changed his mind about leaving me.
Here are the top comments, plus Opie's reply.
Cheaters always think that everyone else is cheating too. He's insulting you because you're not sobbing and begging him to stay, which is a blow to his fragile ego. Cheaters are cheating in part because they want lots of validation that they're irresistible, so to have you take him at his word destroys the fantasy he had that you wouldn't be able to live without him. Write down everything he said and save the text and voicemail so can get a better settlement and a restraining order if he escalates his behavior. I would tell him that he can't speak to you directly anymore and to go through your lawyer since all he wants to do is sprue lies and insults that you don't have to listen to. Congratulations on the divorce because he would certainly have made your life worse eventually.
OP replied,
I also believe my soon-to-be ex is insecure because my colleague is an attractive man. I admit I do find him cute, but I respect him because he takes me seriously and treats me like a human being. Some of my other, more junior, colleagues treat me poorly because I do their groundwork. He never has. And it had a hand in why I asked him if he would represent me.
Good attorneys understand that they cannot do everything and value and treat staff accordingly. You picked a good attorney and made your soon-to-be ex question himself by being level-headed in that choice. Also, if you work in a firm that does a good amount of family law, you have probably seen or heard enough to know fighting for him is not going to change things but will give him control. Good for you and good luck.
OP replied,
Yep. Family law and attorneys for children. I'm glad to work mostly with the attorneys for children and only a few family law attorneys, which means I get to spend more time around offices with nice kiddos as opposed to angry adults.